Superman Batman World's Finest, issue 23, Mark Waid and Dan Mora on art. So this, of course, is doing the whole Gog, Magog, Jimmy, Gaga, Gaga, Logga.
I don't know what you were going for there. Magog,
saying Gog and Magog back to back just made me feel like, okay, what the hell am I saying? This is nonsense.
Yes, which apparently means gateway in Gog's language. So that's what he tells him as he's sitting on that throne.
Yeah. So this was a solid issue in terms of art. There's some nice Superman and Batman moments. I will critique it a little bit though, because it is mostly fighting. So therefore, it does go on quite quick. And while Dan Mora's art is obviously very good, the characters all look great. A lot of these pages, because it is just action, it doesn't stand out as great as some of his other issues are for art because there's less variety. You know? Yeah,
and so the one of the very few times that I criticize Dan Mora. There's a page where he says the summoning has begun, right? And all the heroes are coming up. The way that he draws Gog, it made me think there was something else going on because it looks like his face is twisting and contorting. So I'm like, is this where it reveals that he's not actually what he was? And it was just the way that Mora had chosen to draw with the emphasis to make him look as maniacal as possible. That kind of took me out a little bit.
Sure.
But the rest of the art throughout is fine. Just that one page, and then maybe when he has Superman, the Superman in his hands and stuff, his face looks a little wonky again, but it's all stuff that doesn't bother me as much. But because the emotional stuff is hitting there. So, but yeah, you're right. It is just a lot of fighting.
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird issue overall because of that. It's hard to be as excited. Obviously, they try and talk down David Magog and do seemingly kind of convince him that to turn sides. A lot of the heroes on this Earth end up teaming up with them to help stop Magog. The big thing here, other than some very pretty splash pages and fighting pages, is that Gog, I should say, is in over his head because he doesn't really know what to like. He thinks he's going to go off and like kill Darkseid and take over Apokolips, but he's going to get his ass whipped. That's what Batman and Superman seem to think. But Batman and Superman have this realization that Gog actually has the final piece of the anti-life equation. Funny enough, we're talking about that again this week in a different book, in a very different context. But that it's actually dangerous for Gog to go to Apokolips because Darkseid could get it. And the reason why they think this is because they basically realize that Gog's one sort of power, other than just being, big and strong and whatnot, is that he seems to be able to manipulate free will. Like, he seems to be able to, like, sway people, and that's what he's done to the heroes on this Earth. And that if he ends up in Darkseid's hands, Darkseid might be able to complete the anti-life equation, and that's, doomsday for everyone. So there's a big splash page where both Supermen punch him, give him a big uppercut. That's that's a page. It looks pretty. The big ending is that they're going to close this boom tube that Gog has open to Apokolips. They have to close it before anything else can go through or get through. And then the final page is Darkseid standing there with parademons behind him, just saying, "No need." So we got Darkseid to deal with next issue.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just my DC fandom or the fact that Waid had paced us out so much, but there was a sense of doom when the boom tube went off, right? And then you turn the page and Darkseid's just standing there. And, you're kind of waiting for it, right? Because they're kind of looking into the void. And then when it happens, and it's not just like the forces of Apokolips, it's the man himself, But yeah, very, very, again, the impending sense of doom going onto this world.
The cliffhanger's great. The wrinkle that Gog might actually be the final piece of the anti-life equation, and the question at the end, does Darkseid know that? Is that why he's come personally to deal with this? Is very, very fascinating. And I do think that it does feel like there's a good sense of dread building up once the boom tube's opened. All the fighting with Gog, though, is just kind of fine. You know, it looks good because of the art, but it's, it's definitely not my favorite issue of this book or this arc even, because fundamentally it is mostly just fighting, and it looks good, but nothing special either. You know, like the fight is, you know, there's not a lot of motion in the fight in the sense that it's just a lot of big hits back and forth.
Yeah.
It's the Superman fighting. It's Gog screaming.
It's a series of big moments, right? And you get the little moments in between, but they're in small panels, so nothing really stands out. So it kind of messes with the pacing a bit.
Yeah, I think a more good through line throughout the fight would have been nice. As it is, it feels like a lot of colors, a lot of lines, a lot of stuff going on, and you kind of become a little bit numb to it as you're reading it.
Yeah. The through line that I wish they had kept up was when, you know, Batman reminds David of who he is, and when he tells him how many times I have to say it, Superman never lies. And that's kind of what brings him back. So it would have been nice to more just follow Magog through all of the different fighting. And he sees the two Supermen take out Magog, right? We see everything from his point of view. That might have been a little bit better for pacing wise. So it doesn't just feel like this big kind of chaos fight scene. But,
yeah,
you know, Moore's great though. Like everything, again, with the exception of a couple of those pages, his dark side is menacing. Like him standing there is like a oof, big time. And even the bottom of that page with the "We're too late" from Batman, you know, there is this look of pain and worry, you know, in that small panel. So, but yeah, just, you know, very good all around.
Yeah. The issue starts with the confrontation basically on like page 2, and then that's it. That's them fighting for the whole issue until the big cliffhanger with Darkseid. So yeah, definitely not going to rank as highly for me compared to some of the better issues of this book. But you know, it's not a bad time. But it's definitely a victim of the type of issue that it is, for sure. A little bit more story, I think, would have went a long way. What are you giving World's Finest, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Yeah, I think this is a 7 for me. It's good, but it's not great for all the reasons kind of listed.